So remember back to last class where we talked about how you can predict what the graph looks like by all of its factors. For m of x, I would look at this, and one thing I can predict right away is that when x equals 4, I have the graph is going to be crossing the x-axis, because that's going to be an x-intercept, because 2 times 0 is 0, and so when y, or in this case m of x, is 0, then that's when it crosses the x-axis. So now do that same thing. Just talk briefly and put in your notes what you think the graph will look like. And so how many bumps do you think it'll have? And go ahead and refer back to your notes from last class. Do you think it's going to bump off of the x-axis or cross over it? But for each one of these, I want you to just draw a sketch of what you think that it'll look like. And then after you're done doing all 4 of them with your team, go ahead and take out your graphing calculator and check it out and see if you were right. So that's your first task. And then the sub can pause this until you're done. Now I want you to move on to problem 29 in your book. You should read this with your team out loud to your team. So basically you're going to look back at the work that we did in class last time, and you're going to answer questions A, B, and C. And I want you to do this on a piece of paper. I am going to be looking at these when I get back to make sure that you guys all understood what you needed to understand. So go ahead and answer 929, and then the sub can pause it until you're done. Okay, for 930, they give you some graphs, and they're asking you some questions about those graphs. So which of the graphs show that as the x value gets really big, the y values continue to get bigger and bigger? So if you look at problem number 1, as x increases, y is getting bigger and bigger. But if you look at problem number 2, this time as x increases, y is going down, it's getting smaller. So just take a couple minutes to go ahead and answer A, B, and C for those. Talk about positive orientation and negative orientation. And again, put that right in your notes. The sub will pause this so that you can go ahead and do it. All right, and then when you're done, you should get that the positive orientation as x values increase, y values increase. A negative orientation is just the opposite of that. This time when x values increase, y is decreasing. And so you talked about that with your team. All right, 31 is the next problem. You're going to read that out loud with your team, and you're going to answer all 5 of those, so A through E. And make sure you get those written down on a piece of paper nice and neat, so your reporter should answer 931 on a piece of paper. That one I will be taking a look at. When you finish that, you can move on to 932, and there you're talking about a double root and a triple root. And again, make sure you get that on a piece of paper because I'll be looking at that. All right. Once you are finished with that, I want you to go ahead and look at 933 and 934. You can read it out loud and answer A through D together as with your team, not as the class, but as a team. And then make sure that you come out of that knowing what an even degree polynomial is and what an odd degree polynomial is. Make sure that you've written that down so that I can see that your team gets it. And then what you can say about even degree and odd degree functions. So something like, all even degree functions bounce off the line, where odd degree functions cross through, or anything else that you can say. And then for 935, you're going to choose 3 of the polynomials you graphed in problem 9.2. That was back what we did in class last time. And you're going to create number lines for each one, just like the ones that you saw in 33 and 34. And make sure that you get that on your page of notes as well. The sub will pause this while you're working on that. The last thing that you're going to do today is number 36. This is your individual assessment. So if all went well for the rest of the class, you're going to look at problem 933, and you're going to create a new number line description, just like one of the ones given A through D in number 33. Then you're going to trade with the person sitting at your table next to you, or you're going to trade with somebody on your team. And then you're going to find possible graphs for those equations. Now each person is going to do this, so you'll each be graded individually, and this will be an individual assessment grade, so like a test grade out of 4 points. So put all 4 of the equations with your individual name on it, and then make sure that the person's name who wrote the problem and the person's name who answered the problem are both on each sheet of paper. And I want you to turn these into your folder. So problem 36 gets turned into your folder with your names on it, and there should be one for everybody in there. And then all of your teamwork should be stapled together. So that's all of the problems up through 933 or 34. That you're going to staple together, and you're going to give that to the sub just with your team name on it, or your individual names is fine. And then your homework today, I would like for you to work on that packet, the review packet that I gave you last class. And you also have some problems on your calendar, just making sure that your calendar matches up with these. Today is Wednesday, the 24th, and these are not actually the same. So 38 through 40, 43, 46, and the packet, do problems 1 through 5 at least, if you haven't already. The goal is that you have to get all of those done by the 30th. So that's next week, Tuesday. So you should be working on them every day, but if you have them all done, then that's less homework. All right, good luck. Have a great day, guys. See you later.